What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran. We're going back to their 1997 album Medazzaland again. I won't repeat myself too extensively, but I've really enjoyed this album. It has this sort of gritty, cutting-edge, abstract, experimental feel. It's gone down some different avenues, not only dark and gritty, but again, the song Michael, You've Got a Lot to Answer For was very deeply emotional and sort of tender. So yeah, I really enjoyed the album. I've been loving the nature of the sonics and the sort of songwriting and just the composition of the album overall. So yeah, it is with a little bit of sadness that I tell you we are on the penultimate tune. We're up to the tune called So Long Suicide. And you know, in terms of a phrase, it's interesting. There's no comma, so it's not addressing suicide. You know, so long. It's a phrase used to when people are parting ways. And, you know, so long. See you next time. So you know, if there were a comma there, one might interpret it as, you know, a sort of message to suicide that, you know, you will not be around anymore. You will not harm the people I know, and so on. But without a comma, and obviously, you know, punctuation is idiosyncratic. You know, not everyone is, you know, an editor who has to like really sort of, you know, hyper scrutinize these things, but without a comma and assuming that it's not addressing suicide as, you know, sort of direct message, then I would say it maybe makes me think of a suicide that takes place over a long period of time, like a pattern of self-destructive and damaging behavior that over a long enough timeline will ultimately cause, you know, if not literal death in a physical sense, the destruction of someone's life, you know, emotionally, socially, familially, professionally, and so on. And so, you know, if someone were watching from the outside and seemingly, you know, perplexed by continued bad choices, and perhaps, you know, the same bad choices cycled over and over again, it's quite possible they could regard that behavior and that mentality as suicidal. So yeah, those are the sort of concepts that jump out to me right out of the gate. And again, with the use of so, if it is perhaps in that idea, it's a multiplier or an exaggerator of degree, right? So it's not just a long suicide, but it's so long of a suicide. So yeah, we'll have to see if that has any relevance. I always say when I do these song title speculations that it's just a way to get my brain working and thinking about themes. It may not and often does not have anything to do with the song itself, but we'll have to see. Once again, shout out to the artwork. I keep mentioning it. I love this sort of dystopian, you know, less than fully proper sort of feel of the album. You know, the graffiti all over everything, and it's sort of like jumbled and asymmetric and so on. I really do enjoy that. But let's get to it. This is Duran Duran from their Medazzaland album, 1997, So Long Suicide. Felt like an extra-dimensional radio. You had to find the right channel before the track would start. It still has that like quality of delivery. Habits that you fed, sweet sorrow while the cherished dead blow in my mouth every breath I take. Although I need you, I don't wanna bleed for you. So although I need you, wouldn't want to bleed for you. Out of sight, out of mind, leave me alone and abandoned. You could feel it coming, and even then it still caught me off guard. Oof. Got a loud, kind of raw sound. It almost feels like a live performance. Oh. Just pull the intensity out of the track, like let it bleed into the next section. Oh. The composition of this one is crazy good. So it's time for pretty flowers growing in the dirt. Time is your needle. real night and day quality. It's like the chorus is loud, it's raw, it's like wears its emotion on its sleeve. But it's like offset in sections of very different feeling. What was he scared of? I was going to comment on this really high melodic layer. I wasn't sure if it was guitar, but then his vocals just took over. Oh, again, extra dimensional, almost psychedelic. Brilliant. Again, it's like every song on this album I find fascinating in one way or another. Lyrically, I didn't catch as much of that one, just a couple flashes of a couple of the lines. Definitely going to have to listen to it some more, stew over the lyrics. But sonically, that was incredible. It just had this contrast with that like loud, sort of energetic and raw sort of sound for the chorus. And then it was offset. I mean, there was a sort of kind of louder interlude section in the second half, but the other sections were sort of floaty, extra dimensional, and very, again, almost psychedelic. So yeah, I love the contrast of that tune, which I've talked about in other videos. One of the things you can do with contrast, whether it's music or literature, or even an argument, is that by presenting something in direct succession or close proximity to something very different, almost to its opposite maybe, you end up drawing out the characteristics of both, because they're so unlike each other that the ways in which they are different stand out more when they're presented next to each other, rather than something that is quite similar to one thing and maybe only a little bit different from another thing. So yeah, I really do enjoy the composition of that song. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you got an angle on the lyrics that can help sort of as I continue to listen to it and sort of come to terms and come to understand its themes. But yeah, other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I really do appreciate it. Next time, we're going to get to the last tune of the album, which, I'm finishing a few albums now, and I'm thinking about doing some videos, and I just did one for a Tears for Fears album, so I'm going to come back and do some, like, album reviews. But Izzy, super champion, big hero, massive friend of the channel, he has sent me some bonus tracks for some of the albums. So as it turns out, we're not done with the Wedding album yet. And even though I have one more track to go in the Arcana album, once I finish the last track on the album, there's some bonus stuff there. There's some bonus stuff for Big Things. So yeah, shout out to Izzy once again. And basically, I'm going to start doing some album reviews. But there are some albums that I thought I had put to bed, but we still have some more songs to go. So anyway, when we get to the next reaction here, it will be the very last tune, which I'm having a problem seeing. It's something treatment, undergoing treatment, which again, that's a very interesting title. It speaks to maybe some of the themes on a couple of the other songs in this album, maybe even this one, although again, I gotta hear it a little bit more. But yeah, it's a very interesting title. It suggests maybe some unsettling, if not ominous, ideas or themes. So we'll have to see how it goes. But other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I will see you next time. Peace.